Listen well, children of the earth. Not every womb births a child, but every heart that endures can still birth a legacy. This is wisdom from our ancestors. This is true from the old days. In a village where the baobab trees touched the clouds, lived a couple named Makena and Obiri. They were married for 10 long seasons. Their love was strong like iron chains. Their hearts were pure like morning river water. Their hands worked hard like busy ants. But their small hut was quiet. No children's laughter filled the air. No small feet ran in the red dust. No baby cries woke them at night. The women of the village whispered behind their backs like snakes in grass. The men shook their heads with pity in their eyes. Every day, the couple felt the weight of empty arms. Every night, they heard the silence where children should be. But they did not know that the ancestors were watching from the spirit world. The ancestors had a plan that would change everything. Every morning when the sun kissed the earth, Makena carried her calabash to the great river. The calabash was old and brown, made by her grandmother's hands. Every evening when the sun went to sleep, she carried it back home full of clean water. But her womb stayed empty like that calabash before the morning journey. Her belly remained flat like the dry season ground. Month after month, season after season, no child grew inside her. "Why do the gods not bless us with a child?" she asked Obiri as they sat by their small fire under the stars. "Have we done something wrong? Have we forgotten to honor our ancestors?" Obiri looked at his wife with eyes full of love and pain. "We must wait, my dear one," he said. "Good things come to those who wait with pure hearts. The ancestors know our pain. They will answer in their own time. But waiting is hard when the village women count their children like cowrie shells at the market. Waiting is painful when your neighbors look at you with eyes full of pity and whisper about curses. Waiting hurts when every full moon reminds you that another month has passed without the blessing of a child." Still, Makena and Obiri waited. They worked their small piece of land. They helped their neighbors when crops failed. They shared what little food they had when others were hungry. They kept their hearts clean and their hands busy. The village women gathered at the well every morning like birds around grain. They filled their calabashes with water and their mouths with gossip. They talked loud enough for Makena to hear every cruel word. "Look at her," said Folktale, the chief's wife. She pointed at Makena with her long finger. 10 seasons married and still no child. Maybe she is cursed by the ancestors. Maybe she did something bad in her youth. Maybe her husband is weak like an old goat, laughed another woman named Jengo. A strong man would have filled her belly with babies by now. My husband gave me 5 sons and 3 daughters. Or maybe they anger the spirits, whispered old Fatu. Some women are born to be barren like dry ground. The gods refuse to plant seeds in bad soil. Makena kept drawing water from the deep well. Her hands shook a little, but she said nothing. Inside her chest, her heart was breaking like a clay pot dropped on hard stones. She did not fight back. She did not speak angry words. She just finished her work and went home to Obiri. "What did the women say today?" Obiri asked when he saw the sadness in her eyes. He could read her face like a book written in their own language. "Nothing new," Makena said with a voice like wind through dry leaves. "Just the same cruel words. But their words cannot change what the ancestors have planned for us." But they both knew that cruel words cut deeper each day. They both felt the weight of shame that was not theirs to carry. After 12 long seasons of marriage and empty arms, Makena decided to visit Ruto, the old healer woman. Ruto lived alone in a hut at the edge of the village. Her home was covered with medicine plants and dried herbs. She knew the secrets of roots and leaves and the language of spirits. The old woman's eyes were white with age, but she could see things that young eyes missed. Her back was bent like an old tree, but her mind was sharp like a new knife. People came to her when babies would not come, when sickness would not leave, when hearts were too heavy to carry. "Help me, grandmother," Makena begged. She fell to her knees in the dust before Ruto's door. "I want a child more than I want to breathe. I want to hold a baby more than I want to eat. Please give me medicine to open my womb." Ruto looked deep into Makena's eyes with her milk-white gaze. She saw pain there like a deep well. She saw love there like a bright fire. But she also saw something else, something that made her old heart beat faster. She saw the mark of the ancestors on this young woman's spirit. "My child," Ruto said in a voice like rustling leaves, "your womb may be closed like a locked door. But your heart is wide open like the sky. The ancestors see your pain. They know your love. Sometimes the gods send blessings in ways we do not expect. Sometimes they give us gifts that look different from what we asked for." "What do you mean, grandmother?" Makena asked. Hope and fear fought in her voice like two birds in one cage. But Ruto just smiled with her toothless mouth. "Go home to your husband. Keep your heart open like a flower to the sun. Your child will come. But it may not come in the way you think. Trust in the ancestors. They never forget their children." That night, as the full moon painted the world silver, Makena had a dream unlike any dream before. She saw herself sitting by the river, but the water was made of liquid gold. In her arms, she held a baby that shined like the sun. This baby was not made of flesh and blood like other children. Its skin was smooth gold and bright silver mixed together. Its eyes were like precious stones that caught all the light in the world. When it cried, the sound was like cowrie shells falling into a gourd, like coins dancing in a leather bag. "This is your firstborn child," said a voice that came from everywhere and nowhere. The voice sounded like her grandmother and her great-grandmother and all the mothers who came before. "Love this child well. Raise this child with care. It will bring you more joy than 10 sons and 10 daughters." "But what kind of child is this?" Makena asked in her dream. "It looks like no baby I have ever seen." "This is the child your heart deserves," the voice answered. "This is the gift the ancestors send to those who wait with pure love and clean hands. Accept what comes. Question nothing. Love everything." Makena woke up with tears on her face and wonder in her heart. She shook Obiri awake and told him every word of the strange dream. "Dreams are just dreams, my wife," Obiri said, but something in his voice said he was not sure. Something in his eyes said he felt the power of this dream too. The next morning, when they opened their door to greet the sun, they found something that made their hearts stop. There on their doorstep sat a small calabash filled with gold cowrie shells. The shells were warm like they had been sitting in sunlight, but the morning was still cool. Where did they come from? Who put them there? No one knew. 3 days after the dream, just as the sun reached the middle of the sky, something appeared on Makena and Obiri's doorstep that changed their lives forever. It was a baby. But this was no ordinary baby like the ones born in the village every season. This baby's skin shined like polished metal. Its eyes were bright like stars in a clear night sky. When it cried, the sound was like music, like coins falling, like wind chimes made of gold. The baby wore no clothes, but it did not seem cold. Its body gave off its own warm light like a small sun. Around its tiny neck was a string of beads that looked like captured rainbows. In its small fists, it held what looked like tiny gold coins. When the village people heard about the strange baby, they came running like ants to honey. They formed a circle around Makena and Obiri's hut. Their eyes were wide with fear and wonder. "This is not a human child," they whispered to each other. "Look at its skin. Look at its eyes. This is a spirit baby. It will bring bad luck to our village. Send it away before something terrible happens to us all." "Maybe it is a demon," said Thokazile. "Maybe it is a trick from evil spirits. Do not touch it. Do not keep it." But when Makena looked at the baby, all fear left her heart. Love filled her chest like water filling an empty calabash. She picked up the shining child and held it close to her breast. The baby stopped crying and smiled at her with a smile that made flowers bloom in her heart. "This is our child," she said in a voice strong like iron. "The ancestors have sent us our son. We will call him Chisomo, which means blessing." Obiri was afraid at first. The baby was so strange, so different from anything he had ever seen. But when the child looked at him and reached out one tiny golden hand, all fear melted away like ice in the sun. "Our son," he said with wonder. "Our firstborn." Chisomo was not like other babies in the village. He did not drink his mother's milk. He did not soil his clothes. He did not cry at night or sleep during the day. He just lay in his basket and shined like the morning sun, watching everything with his bright, knowing eyes. But from the moment Chisomo came to their home, strange and wonderful things began to happen to Makena and Obiri. Their small field of corn grew taller than any corn in the village. The ears were fat and golden, full of kernels like jewels. Their 3 goats began giving milk like 10 goats. Their 5 chickens laid eggs every day, sometimes 2 eggs each. Money seemed to appear in their hut like mushrooms after rain. Cowrie shells filled their storage pots. Gold beads rolled out of old baskets. Coins appeared under their sleeping mats. They did not know where this wealth came from, but every day there was more. Traders began stopping at their hut, offering good prices for their crops and animals. People from other villages heard about their fine corn and came to buy it with silver and gold. Everything Makena and Obiri touched turned to prosperity. The village people watched with wonder and growing fear. How could a couple who had nothing suddenly become the richest family in the village? Some said it was magic. Others said it was the baby's doing. A few wise ones said it was a gift from the ancestors. "That child is not natural," the people whispered. "But look how happy Makena and Obiri are now. Look how their faces shine with joy. Maybe this strange blessing is good for them." But Makena and Obiri did not care what people said. They had their child. They had their blessing. After years of empty arms, their hearts were full. After years of empty pots, their home was rich. They thanked their ancestors every morning and every night. One morning, when Chisomo had been with them for 1 full season, Ruto the healer came to visit. She walked slowly with her bent back and her walking stick. Her white eyes looked at baby Chisomo for a long time. "Do you know what you have here?" she asked Makena, pointing at the child with one crooked finger. "I have my son," Makena said. She was feeding Chisomo honey water from a gourd. The baby's skin glowed brighter when he was happy. "You have more than a son," Ruto said in her ancient voice. "You have fortune itself. The ancestors have sent you a spirit child, a blessing in baby form. But spirit children do not stay in one place forever. They are visitors from the world beyond." "What do you mean?" asked Obiri. Fear touched his heart like a cold wind. "This child will test you," Ruto explained. "The ancestors want to see if your hearts are truly pure. If you love this child only for the riches he brings, he will leave you with nothing. But if you love him like any mother and father would love their child, if you protect him and care for him, if you share the blessings he brings with others, then you will prove you deserve this gift." "How can we prove ourselves?" Makena asked. She held Chisomo closer to her chest. "Never be greedy with what he brings you. Share your good fortune with those who need it. Help the poor and the sick and the hungry. Show kindness to those who showed you cruelty. Let your wealth make you generous, not selfish. This is how you show the ancestors that your hearts are clean." Ruto stood up slowly and walked to the door. Before she left, she turned back one more time. "Remember, my children. Love given freely always returns. But love given for gain always leaves. Makena and Obiri took Rudo's words deep into their hearts like seeds planted in good soil. They looked at their growing wealth and decided to use it as the old woman had advised. When their neighbors had no food during the dry season, Makena and Obiri shared their plenty. They gave bags of corn to families with hungry children. They offered milk from their goats to mothers whose babies were thin. They shared eggs with old people who had no chickens of their own. When the rains failed and many crops died in the fields, they opened their stores and gave seed to farmers who had none. When children in the village were sick with fever, they paid for the healer's medicine. When old people needed help fixing their huts, they bought the materials and hired the workers. The same women who had mocked Makena at the well now came to her for help. Thokazile came when her son was sick. Jengo came when her husband lost his job. Fatu came when her roof leaked in the storms. Each time, Makena helped them with a kind heart. She never reminded them of their cruel words from before. She never made them beg or feel shame. She just gave what was needed with love. "Why do you help us?" asked Thokazile one day. "We were not kind to you when you had nothing. We said terrible things about you and your husband." Makena smiled and looked at Chisomo, who was playing with golden coins in his basket. "Because kindness is like planting seeds," she said. "The more you plant, the more it grows. My son teaches me this every day. When we share what we have, we get more to share." And it was true. Every time Makena and Obiri helped someone, baby Chisomo's skin would shine brighter. The child would smile and clap his small hands, and more blessings would appear in their home. It was like magic, but it was really love made visible. As Makena and Obiri shared their blessings with generous hearts, something wonderful began to happen to the whole village. The spirit of giving spread from house to house like good news on the wind. People who had been helped began helping others. Families started sharing tools and seeds and knowledge. Children played together without fighting over toys. Old people were invited to eat at different homes every day. When someone's goat died, the neighbors would give them another one. The village became known throughout the land for the kindness of its people. Traders came from far away because they knew they would be treated fairly. They brought fine goods and paid good prices. Everyone in the village began to prosper. This all started when the spirit child came to Makena and Obiri. People said to each other, "He brought more than gold and silver. He brought goodness to our hearts. He taught us how to care for each other." Young mothers would bring their babies to see Chisomo, hoping some of his blessings would touch their children. The baby would smile at every visitor and sometimes drop golden coins into their hands. Old people would tell stories about spirit children from the ancient days. Baby Chisomo was now walking on his small golden feet. He would toddle around the village, bringing joy wherever he went. But still, he was not like other children. He never spoke words that people could understand. He never cried or got angry or made messes. He just smiled and shined and watched everything with his bright, knowing eyes. Sometimes, late at night, people would hear him humming songs that sounded like music from the spirit world. The melodies were beautiful and sad at the same time, like memories of a perfect place that was far away. News of the village's amazing good fortune reached the ears of Chief Zimba, who ruled over many villages from his large compound on the hill. Zimba was a man with a heart like a stone and hands that always grasped for more. He had many wives, many children, many cattle, and many fields, but he was never satisfied. When Zimba heard about the spirit child who brought wealth wherever he went, greed filled his chest like poison. "Why should simple farmers have such a blessing?" he said to his advisors. "I am the chief. I deserve this magic child more than they do. Such power should belong to a ruler, not to peasants." So Chief Zimba came to the village with 20 soldiers carrying spears and shields. His robe was made of fine cloth and his neck was heavy with gold chains. His eyes were cold like a snake's eyes as he stood before Makena and Obiri's small hut. "I have heard about your magic child," he said in a voice that commanded fear. Bring him to me. I am your chief and I demand to see this spirit baby that brings such wealth. Makena came out of the hut carrying Chisomo in her arms. The baby's skin was shining like liquid gold in the sunlight. When Chief Zimba saw him, his eyes grew wide with greed and desire. Give him to me, the chief ordered. Such a powerful spirit belongs with the ruler of this land. I will give you 10 cows and a field of good land in exchange. No, said Makena firmly. He is our son. We will never give him away, not for all the cows in the world. Then I will take him, Chief Zimba said. His voice was cold as a winter wind. Soldiers, seize that child. Bring him to my compound immediately. 3 soldiers stepped forward to grab Chisomo from Makena's arms. But the moment their hands touched the baby, they screamed in pain and jerked back. Their palms were burned red like they had touched fire. They shook their hands and danced around in agony. Chisomo looked at Chief Zimba and smiled. But this smile was different from his usual gentle smiles. This smile had warning in it. The baby's eyes flashed like lightning, and thunder rumbled in the clear sky above. Chief Zimba stepped back in fear, but his greed was stronger than his wisdom. Magic or no magic, I will have that child. No one refuses the chief. You will pay for your disobedience. That very night, as Chief Zimba slept in his fine bed surrounded by his wealth, the spirit world sent him a lesson he would never forget. All of his gold turned to dust that blew away on the wind. His silver melted like water and seeped into the ground. His cattle ran away into the forest and could not be found. His fields cracked and dried up even though it was the rainy season. His fine clothes turned to rags. His comfortable bed became as hard as rocks. When Chief Zimba woke up in the morning, he was as poor as the poorest beggar in his kingdom. His wives left him for men who had wealth. His children would not speak to him. His advisors found new jobs with other chiefs. Even his servants ran away in the night. For 3 days, Zimba sat in his empty compound and thought about what had happened. His stomach was empty, his pockets were empty, but worst of all, his heart was empty. He realized that his greed had cost him everything that mattered. On the 4th day, he walked down the hill to Makena and Obiri's village. His fine robe was now torn and dirty. His gold chains were gone that he looked like a different man entirely. Forgive me, he said, falling to his knees in the dust before their hut. I was greedy and foolish. I tried to take what was not mine. I thought power meant I could have anything I wanted. Now I have nothing at all. Makena came out with Chisomo in her arms. She looked at the broken chief with eyes full of compassion. We forgive you, she said. But the lesson you learned did not come from us. It came from the ancestors who watch over all things. Obiri brought water for the thirsty chief and food for his empty stomach. Greed destroys everything good, he said kindly. But a generous heart builds everything beautiful. You can start again if you choose to change. Makena looked at baby Chisomo. The child nodded his bright head and smiled. She understood what this meant. You are forgiven by the ancestors too, she told Zimba. But remember this lesson. Use your power to help people, not to take from them. That day, Chief Zimba's wealth began to return, but slowly and only as he learned to share it with others. He became a different kind of leader, one who served his people instead of ruling over them. The spirit child had taught him the most important lesson of all. For 7 full years, Chisomo lived with Makena and Obiri like any beloved child. He never grew bigger than a 2-year-old, but his presence filled their lives with joy and their village with prosperity. Every day was a blessing, every night was peaceful. But spirit children do not stay in the mortal world forever. They are visitors from the realm of the ancestors, and eventually, they must return home. One morning, when the 7th year was ending, Ruto the healer came to their hut. Her ancient face was filled with sadness, and tears ran down her wrinkled cheeks like rain on old bark. The time has come, she said in a voice heavy with sorrow. I have seen the signs in my dreams. I have heard the whispers of the spirits in the wind. Chisomo must go back to the ancestors who sent him. Makena's heart broke like a clay pot dropped from a great height. But he is our son, she cried. How can we let him go? He is all the family we have ever had. Because love sometimes means letting go, Ruto said gently. You have proven yourselves worthy parents. You have loved him without conditions. You have shared the blessings he brought. You have made him proud. But his work in this world is finished. Obiri held his wife as she wept. His own eyes were filled with tears, but he understood. He was never really ours to keep, was he? He asked. No, Ruto said. But he has given you something that will never leave. He has made you parents in the truest sense. Not parents of flesh, but parents of fortune and wisdom and love. That gift will last forever.